we need to talk about this and this. My son is 20 months old, and I'm pretty sure that by the time he's 20, he won't be using one of these. I think he'll have a version of this, but much, much smaller. And since I've been using Vision Pro over the last few days, I'm more convinced about this fact. However, there are some problems. In fact, if you read the headlines, you'd be forgiven for thinking this is a complete failure because apparently loads of people are returning them. It's too heavy, it's too buggy, they can't find a use case for it, it goes on and on and on. However, those are just headlines, and I'm having a much bigger problem with Vision Pro that doesn't seem to be reported, and that is the fact that it's near impossible to drink a mug of coffee while wearing it. That's a big issue for someone like me because I like coffee, but basically, if you try and drink like this, I don't even want to do it because if I do it, the mug will hit the bottom of the display, and this cost me $3.5 grand. I don't want to break it. Basically, you cannot drink coffee while wearing this unless you use a straw, and hot coffee through a straw is just all kinds of wrong. Now this might seem trivial, but it's not, because I think it tells a much bigger story about this headset and where it needs to go. However, good news, I've devised 6 things that Apple needs to do to make this an everyday device, and they are brilliant. Before we get stuck into that, a quick word from Gadget. I've worked with Gadget to get you some fantastic deals on their coffee machines. I'm using the Academia downstairs, which is the Ferrari of their range, but they do have coffee machines for every budget. So go and check that link out in the description, and thank you Gadget for fueling me with your wonderful coffee. Anyway, let's get on with the 6 things that Tim Cook needs to do to this. By now, you've probably seen loads of YouTube videos and TikToks and stuff of people walking around in public wearing this. You know, they're walking down the high street, they're walking into shopping centres, they're sitting on public transport, and no, I'm not going to do that. One, it's not designed for that at all. When you get this, you realise that the whole point of Vision Pro is to sit down at a desk and use it, or on your couch, or in bed, or, okay, maybe on a flight, on a train, but trust me, not walking down the street. The second reason is because it is really dangerous. So let me just do a very quick demonstration. I can see my hands here. I can still see them, I can still see them, and now they have vanished. My peripheral vision stops there. Same thing up there and down there. I can't see my hands at all. Still can't see them, still can't see them, still... Oh, there they are. And the third reason is because it looks weird. This looks really strange. I don't know about you, but I've never seen anyone in the UK walking around with one of these or any kind of VR headset strapped to their head. And the reason for that is because the world is not ready for this yet in public. Doing it in your own time, in your house, in your business, wherever, absolutely fine. But walking around with this, nah. So the first thing that Apple needs to do with Vision Pro is make it less weird. While we're talking about the whole weird thing, the eyesight feature, which is where your digital eyes appear here when someone walks into the room, I can't do that now because I'm here alone, but that doesn't work. And the reason it doesn't work is because this display is such a low resolution, it's so dark, which is probably for the best because they look ridiculous. Anyway, the second thing that Apple needs to do with Vision Pro is make it lighter. And a lot has been said about how heavy this thing is. It really is. It's a really heavy device. The problem that I have with it is twofold. It's my nose and it's my cheekbones. This thing, after a while, after about 40 minutes, rests on my cheekbones incredibly uncomfortably. Now, I did a live stream with this last night. I'll put a link to that in the description down below. I wore this for an hour and a half, and by the end of that, I was desperate to take this off. In fairness, you do get used to the weight after a while, and once you've picked the right strap for your head, for me, this dual strap thing works much better than the solo knit band. Once you've got that and you've positioned it properly so that the rear band here is a little bit higher towards your crown, it feels a bit better, but it's still really heavy. And again, it just illustrates why this isn't ready for prime time just yet. For some reason, Vision Pro doesn't integrate with the iPhone at all, which means you have to look at your iPhone through Vision Pro, and that doesn't work. And that's because for some reason, the cameras on Vision Pro really struggle with other device displays. So if I look at the iPhone now, it just looks horrible. The colors are weird, the text is blurry. It's a dreadful experience. And that means if you want to look at your iPhone while you're wearing Vision Pro, you have to lift up the headset like this and look at it, and then awkwardly put the headset back on because you have to refit it, obviously, and it's just not a great experience. I want to see some integration between this and this. And it can be really simple to begin with. I just want a mirrored iPhone display in here. How did that get there? Something else that people don't seem to talk about with Vision Pro is the fact that it's very difficult to pick up. In fact, it's so tricky that Apple has had to put a dedicated page in the manual that teaches you how to do it. The reason it's so trepidatious is because you want to pick it up like this. I can't believe I'm doing this. That is the light shield, and it is attached magnetically. So if you pick it up too quickly, it's a really bad day. The proper way to pick this up, according to Apple, is to pick it up by the frame and just treat it with kid gloves. And that's another problem with this. I don't want to treat a piece of tech that I use daily as though it's my mother-in-law's ashes. Even placing this on the front of the display, it just feels like I'm gonna scratch it. It's a delicate thing. So Tim, please just make this easier to pick up. Yesterday, I placed an F1 car in our living room. The day before that, I held out my hand and watched as a butterfly gracefully landed on the palm of my hand. And then I watched as basically a Jurassic scene opened up in front of me and 2 dinosaurs came into the room sniffing my face. And this morning, I did some work on the moon. Vision Pro is full of these whoa moments, and they are amazing. It's the same thing with the eye tracking, so when you move your eyes around and everything on the screen highlights exactly as you want it to, and then you do this thing with your fingers to select stuff. It's genuinely incredible, but it does normalize very quickly. And that says a lot about Apple. They do this very well. They make these incredibly new experiences feel very normal and natural and approachable. But that does mean that the wow thing goes. And again, along with the weight, I think that's probably why a lot of these have been returned. And that's the biggest challenge that Vision Pro and visionOS and spatial computing has. What is the use case? That's the most common question you guys are asking. Beyond the first week of being wowed by this thing, what happens? I'm still trying to figure this out myself, but Apple really needs to give us more beyond those initial wow moments. The 6th thing that Apple needs to do to Vision Pro is reduce the price. However, when you get your hands on this, you do realise that they're not going to knock these out for 350 quid. You're getting a lot for your money. It's very well made. The stuff it can do is incredible. It's next gen. It's, you're getting your hands on the future. Calling Vision Pro good value for money is pushing it a little, well, it's pushing it massively, but it does feel expensive. Despite that, the cost of entry to visionOS at this point in time is just astronomically expensive. It's out of reach, unfortunately, for most people. And this is the single biggest limiting factor for Vision Pro, for spatial computing, and for access to visionOS. For this to sell at scale and become the next iPhone, the next iPad, the next Mac, it needs to be cheaper. And that feels like a very, very long time away. Now it's over to you. What do you think Apple should do to Vision Pro to make it more digestible, less weird, and, well, something that you would buy? Let me know down below. And if you've still got some time and you want to see my initial unboxing and first impressions of Vision Pro, keep watching for a link to that video.